March Madness, a tournament filled with upsets, Cinderella stories, rising stars, buzzer beaters, and many other insane moments. However, this year, most of these things didn't happen. Some fans think that this is the worst March Madness tournament ever. Stephen A. Smith said that this is the death of college basketball. Everything that makes March Madness so special wasn't there this year, but ratings were higher, games were better, and people are saying that this might be the best Final Four ever. In this video, we'll recap each game, and stay tuned till the end because we'll talk about the future of college basketball and if it will ever be the same unpredictable madness. The first interesting game of the tournament was a 12v5 matchup of McNeese and Clemson. Clemson is coming off of a great season, going 24-9 in a not-so-great ACC conference, but they did get some impressive wins, such as beating Duke and Kentucky. To say that the first half of this game was an embarrassment for Clemson would be an understatement. The average points in the first half for a college basketball game this year is somewhere around 35 points. Clemson had 13. Clemson shot 1 for 15 for 3. They had 10 turnovers. This was statistically the worst scoring half in March Madness history since 2001. Brandon Murray, a player from McNeese, had more points than the entire Clemson team in the first half, and he came off the bench. Jake Marsh, a play-by-play announcer, said, quote, "I've made some bad bracket picks before. Clemson to the Final Four in 2025 is looking like it is one of the worst ever." One fan said, quote, "Clemson woke up and just decided to be the worst basketball team ever." Another fan said that Clemson should cancel their basketball program. Come the start of the second half, Clemson started to score, and slowly but surely, Clemson started a bit of a comeback. They made what was once a 22-point deficit a 9-point game. However, there is only 1 minute and 37 seconds left. But Clemson would not go down without giving one final effort.
Zachary for 3. That's good. And Brad Brownell calls timeout. Well, that's a risky pass. And Zachary easily takes it away. You got to shoot it. High breeder a 3. Good! Unbelievable. They go against all of the logical stuff. Hey, this got Zachary at 3. Brownell is final timeout. A 5-point game. Wiggins will pop a 3. It's good!
After a huge 3 by Wiggins, Clemson had to foul and hope that McNeese misses them both. And in the most important free throw of his career, Garcia made one of them, making it a 2-possession game. Clemson couldn't recover, and McNeese would move on to the next round. There weren't many other entertaining games in the afternoon slate on Thursday, but in the evening there is plenty to talk about. 7th-seeded Kansas played the 10th-seeded Arkansas of a battle of two very disappointing teams. Kansas was the preseason number 1 team and had returning stars such as Hunter Dickinson, KJ Adams, and DeJuan Harris. However, a mid-season slump would have them 21-13 and them getting a 7th seed. Arkansas had a lot of hype surrounding their season 2 after hiring John Calipari in April of 2024. However, stars got injured, one of them being an NBA prospect, Boogie Fland. However, Boogie Fland would be back for this game, but he would get limited minutes. From the opening tip, you could already see that this is going to be a physical matchup, especially between the two bigs, Jonas Aidoo from Arkansas and Hunter Dickinson from Kansas. Dickinson started out strong, getting a 3-pointer early, followed by a 2-point floater. However, for the rest of the half, it would be Jonas Aidoo who would dominate, getting 2 violent blocks. He would have 16 points in the first half alone. Arkansas would start strong in the second half, having an 11-point lead at one point. Kansas would then go on a 12-2 run, making it a close game again. However, when it looked like Kansas had all the momentum, star player KJ Adams fell down with an apparent injury and had to leave the game. And this gave Arkansas all the momentum they needed. And Arkansas would take this game and move on to the next round. Jonas Aiyo, a player that had only averaged 6 points this season, had 22 against one of the best big men in the country, Hunter Dickinson, who struggled a lot. He had 11 points, which isn't horrible, but he had 4 turnovers and was scoreless in the second half. In the nighttime slate, maybe the best game out of all of these, 5-seeded Michigan against 12-seeded UC San Diego. Michigan had a great season in the Big Ten, going 26-9. They had 2 7-footers, Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden, who are menaces to opposing teams. UC San Diego, on the other hand, dominated the Big West Conference, going 20-5, winning the conference. They had a player by the name of Aiyo Tate Jones, who averaged 20 points, which was top 10 in the entire league. Throughout the whole season, UC San Diego heavily leaned on Tate Jones to lead them to victory, but he had an off night. He could not do anything as the 2 7-footers did not let Tate Jones drive to the basket, and he didn't even attempt to shoot beyond the arc either. And this showed as the Tritons couldn't do much of anything, and Michigan had a 14-point lead at halftime. Tate Jones would end up fouling out with just 7 minutes left to go. But just when all hope was lost for the Tritons, somebody had to step up, and that would be Tyler McGuy.
Told you why you hurt me, I felt like I had to let you know. Now you tryna pull up to my crib, I think you really gotta go.
UC San Diego actually took the lead with 2 minutes left, but Michigan's Trey Donaldson hit a huge 3 to take back the lead. With less than 20 seconds left, Vlad Golden was fouled and he made both of the free throws. The Tritons would get 1 possession to make a game-tying 3. They gave the ball to the guy that had single-handedly carried them to get to this point, Tyler McGuy. He shot the 3, stepped back to the left, and if he hits, they go to overtime, and it was no good. Michigan survives. McGuy said after the game, "I think I got the shot I wanted. Step back, going left. I thought it was in. Hit the back iron. I couldn't believe it. I still can't believe it." Over in the South region, North Carolina would play Ole Miss, and fans were outraged that this game even happened. North Carolina was the preseason number 9 ranked team, and they have been a massive disappointment. They had senior guard RJ Davis, who was supposed to be one of the best players in the country. They also have other good players such as Jalen Withers and Elliot Cadeau. They had a bad season for their standards, going 23-14 on the season, and had a whopping record of 1-12 against Quad 1 opponents in the regular season. And when they made the tournament, fans were outraged. One fan said that they were going to boycott the tournament because of this. A reason that many of these fans thought that this wasn't fair was because the chairman of the NCAA tournament committee, Bubba Cunningham, also happened to be the athletic director for North Carolina. One fan said that Cunningham was a disgrace to college basketball and should be removed due to obvious bias. So these fans were probably happy to see that North Carolina was losing by 18 at halftime. However, in the second half, Ole Miss would have a 6-minute scoring drought, and with 1 minute and 9 seconds left, it was only a 2-point game. This possession was a must-stop for the Tar Heels, and Sean Padula drained a 3-pointer. RJ Davis missed a 3-pointer, North Carolina had to foul, Ole Miss made their free throws and moved on to the next round, making North Carolina 1-13 in Quad 1 games, ending their disappointing season. While the games have been entertaining so far, it lacked the amount of upsets and Cinderella stories like it usually does. There was only 7 upsets in the first round, no seed higher than 12 won, and there are only 2 mid-majors that moved on to the next round, and both of them lost. There was one more chance for a Cinderella story, though, and that was Colorado State. In the first round, Colorado State played Memphis and controlled the game, leading to a 78-70 victory. They would play the up-and-coming Maryland Terrapins, who had arguably one of the best starting five in college basketball, and the guy that headlined the Crab Five, their big man, Derek Queen.
Never the road and it's very few find it. I'm back at the gates and it's wide as a G. Never on solo, lifestyle, go more holy trinity, party of three. Ready at night, steady at five, truly want life, be ready to die.
It would be a tough task for Colorado State, but they were the only Cinderella team, and they did not disappoint.
Good ball movement for the Rams here on this possession, and Lake brings it home from deep. Another deep one. Lake goes pack to pack. And Clifford driving, challenging Reese, and the putback is there. To Morton, who drives and hangs. Look at that. About it. Gives it back to Evans. He had 6 of those in the first round, and Evans has his first tonight. Across the lane. This is his sweet spot right in there, and you can see why off the glass.
It was 37-30, led by the Rams at halftime, and they led by as much as 12. But Maryland coach Kevin Willard must have said something crazy in the locker room at halftime, because at the start of the second half, Maryland was on fire.
Gillespie to Rice, a little stutter step right, his toe was just behind the three-point line.
In that first half, we've got to be much more aggressive in the second half.
This guy can hit the three. One triple pull. Double, triple team. Gives it out to Reese. Good pump fake. Count it. And opportunity to take the lead. Their last lead was with 17 minutes in the first half. Count it. Oh, what a big bucket for Rice, who suddenly come.
All of a sudden, it was a close game again. Lead change after lead change happened for the rest of the game. With 45 seconds left, they were tied 68-68. Miguel misses from 3. Julian Reese gets the rebound and is fouled and makes both of the free throws. With 12 seconds left, down by 2, Colorado State needed to score. And with 6 seconds left, Jalen Lake drilled a three-pointer, giving the Rams the lead with 6 seconds left. Maryland needed to score to win, and they gave it to their best player, Derek Queen, and let him make something happen. Maryland, who was on the wrong side of a buzzer for 3 games in the regular season, finally was able to be on the right side of a buzzer beater in the most important game of the season. However, many fans thought that this was a travel. This is my take. You can clearly see that this is when Queen stops dribbling and he takes 1, 2, 3 steps and then shoots. But the refs didn't call it, the game was over, and there's nothing that anybody can do about it. Now I would like to interview a Maryland fan and ask him some questions relating to this game. So, first question, what were you thinking when Colorado State was up big in the first half?
I kind of thought that they were an underrated team. Like, going into the tournament, I was kind of scared to play them, and I thought that Memphis would win. But, I don't know, I kind of like Maryland is either up by big in the first half or down by, a little. But they're never down by a lot. So I wasn't that scared. But they did, Colorado State was, they only had, one last one leading at the first half. So I was a little bit scared, but I had a little bit of faith in Derek Queen and the Terps.
Yeah, so what were you thinking when Maryland started coming back and then the last 10 minutes of the game they were going back and forth, lead changes, ties, all that stuff?
I was kind of getting scared because Maryland had previously lost their last 4 games on buzzer beaters, and I knew that there would definitely be a buzzer beater. With the last 10 minutes, I just kept telling my mom, my dad usually watches the games with me, but he was in Dallas, so I was watching with my mom, and I just kept telling her, it's going to end on a buzzer beater and we're going to lose, isn't it? And then I just, whenever it's a close game with 10 minutes left, it's always a buzzer beater and we always lose, so I got scared.
So what were your thoughts on the Derek Queen buzzer beater? That went well for you this time.
You could say that it definitely went well for us. We definitely deserved that after the previous 4 losses. But being a very big Maryland fan, I started running around the house. And then I'm not even kidding. It was 5:36. It was late at night, and I just started running around my house. But my mom was outside because she couldn't watch it because there was 3.6 left. I know for a fact it was 3.6. And then watching Jacoby Gillespie pass the ball in because they took a long time out. Before that timeout, I told my mom they're definitely going to give it to Derek Queen because that's like people would think to give it to him because he's obviously the best player, but people also wouldn't because he's a center and he's tall. And they were like, then I could hear the announcers say they're for sure going to give it to one of the guards, Rodney Rice or Jacoby Gillespie. But then I was like, no, they got to trick him, give it to Queen. And then whenever they gave it to Queen, I kind of just knew that they would win because he's from Baltimore. So that's just how things roll whenever you're from Baltimore. You always get those moments. But I started screaming around the house, and then I run outside, and I got this grassy area by my house, and I just start running around screaming like, oh my gosh, Derek Queen, we're going to the Sweet 16, because Maryland is not, they're known for basketball a little bit. They got a natty in 2002, but they haven't been to the Sweet 16 since like 2016. So it's been a while, and hopefully that means that the program will go far after this, after hiring Buzz Williams, getting a couple A&M transfers, kind of figured out their names already, but they seem to be pretty good. So yeah, if only we got whatever that scrawny guy is, I forgot his name, number
Wade
10,
Taylor.
Wade Taylor. Yeah, sucks that he's a senior, but
Yeah. One last question. Did he travel on the game-winning shot?
So there's a rule called the gather step, and I don't know. As a Maryland fan, you want to say no. As a basketball fan, you want to say yes because you want to see the upset. I watched this video of these professionals breaking it down, and it really makes you believe that it's not a travel. But we'll never know because the refs never called it, and all I'm saying is now I know the Chiefs feel whenever they get a bad call. But like some people said, like Colorado State literally won because of that game. Colorado State would have won if they did better, if they would have had one stop on Maryland. Like, that's their fault for putting themselves in that position. So that's all I'm going to say. I will never say yes or no. That's my final response.
All right, thanks. Colorado State, New Mexico, McNeese, and Drake's losses made it that there were no Cinderella stories left. However, there was one more double-digit seed that actually played before Colorado State, and that is Arkansas. The reason I don't call them a Cinderella is because they've been here before. They have talent, they're a well-known program, and they have one of the most well-known coaches in the entire league. They have a first-round pick in Boogie Fland, a veteran guard in John L. Davis who has experience as he made it to the Final Four with FAU. And they had a tall task ahead of them facing St. John's. St. John's had the best season in 40 years, winning the Big East tournament, coached by the legend Rick Pitino. Their defense and physicality was such a problem for the opposing team, leading them to a 31-5 record during the regular season and only losing by a combined 7 points. They had star players such as Zuby Ejiofor, Kadari Richmond, and most importantly, the Big East Player of the Year, who averaged 18.2 points, 7.2 rebounds, and 2 assists per game, R.J. Lewis Jr. And for the most part of this game, it was a blowout, but not by the team you would have expected. It was Arkansas that controlled this game start to finish. St. John's had a horrible shooting night, shooting 28% from the field and 2 for 22 for 3. And the best player on the court played his worst game of the season. R.J. Lewis went 3 for 17 shooting, only scoring 9 points. And head coach Rick Pitino decided to bench him for the last 5 minutes of the game, electing not to have the best player play in the most important time of the game. And it's not just because Lewis had a bad shooting night. He just wasn't engaged in the game. You could see him not trying to get rebounds and not hustling on defense. And because of clips like these, Rick Pitino didn't trust him and elected not to play R.J. Lewis in the most important minutes of the game. St. John's, a team that had lost by a combined 7 points, just lost by 9, and in the best season for the program in 40 years, they would choke, only making it to the second round. Arkansas. In the Sweet 16, they played Texas Tech, who was coming off of a great season. They went 28-9 in the Big 12 this year, mainly due to sophomore big JT Toppin. He averaged 18.9 points per game and 9.2 rebounds per game, earning him the Big 12 Player of the Year award. And like the past few games, Arkansas took the lead for most of the game. Their offense was firing on all cylinders, and their defense stopped Texas Tech from scoring very efficiently. They led by as much as 16 with 10 minutes left to go. They led by 10 with 3 minutes left, and Texas Tech came roaring back.
Got the drop, and Hawkins in the corner of three. Good! What a shot by Anderson! Williams, Anderson, screen, Toppin, three. Yes! Holy smokes! Back and forth in a great shootout. On Overton, Davis, spin, lean, knocked away. Toppin swats it away. Final 15 seconds. Anderson sets. Williams to tie a three. Yeah!
Texas Tech would go on a 13-3 run, and Darian Williams drilled this three-pointer to go to overtime. And in overtime, it was an absolute battle.
13 minutes. Here comes Anderson around the screen and gets it inside. Toppin. Rebound collected by Brazil. Oh, a goaltend. Count the two. DJ Wagner will position. Brazil's on the wing. Williams will pick him up. What a play. Wow. Davis on the move. Into Hawkins. Driving here is Davis up and go to him. Wide open three, Hawkins. New screen. Davis will make a move on that baseline. Knocked away Williams. Great defense by the Red Raiders. And taken by Hawkins. Under 2 to go. Toppin will move. They do defending. Up and down. Davis comes off a screen. This could tie it from Brazil. Hawkins. Toppin. Up and down. Shot clock at 7. Williams defends. Wagner slices. What a shot to tie.
With just over 30 seconds left, Texas Tech held onto the ball for most of the possession, gave the ball to Darian Williams, and
corkscrews up, off, and down!
He made the game-leading bucket. Arkansas missed the game-tying shot, and Texas Tech moves on. This was the second largest comeback ever in the Sweet 16, and while Texas Tech fans triumphed, Arkansas fans had to live with one of the most embarrassing losses in March Madness history. So now we're in the Elite 8, and all of the 1 seeds are still alive, and their opponents are all 2 seeds and 1 3 seed. There has been no Cinderella stories, barely any upsets, and just mainly the top seeds dominating. But there has still been madness. We have records being broken, buzzer beaters, overtime, and comebacks. The Elite 8 honestly wasn't that interesting. We had Duke dominate Alabama, Houston's defense obliterate Tennessee's offense, holding them to only 15 points. Auburn took care of business against Michigan State, and Florida came back to beat Texas Tech. That made it all the 1 seeds in the Final Four for just the second time ever. And while fans might not like this, that made it so that the best teams are going head-to-head against each other, leading to some amazing games. The first game of the Final Four was Florida versus Auburn. Auburn was the number 1 overall seed, having 16 wins against Quad 1, having so many great players by the likes of Janai Broome, Chad Baker-Mazara, Denver Jones, Dylan Carwell, and Tahad Pettiford, and many other players. Florida has always been a great team this season, but they really turned it on in the SEC tournament, cruising past Missouri, Alabama, Tennessee, and winning what might be the best conference in history. They have great players such as Thomas Hauge, Alex Condon, Will Richard, Elijah Martin, and most importantly, Walter Clayton Jr.
You dig? You know when it's Beezy, that big B for the blessing. Knowing the spirit in me when I walk, so I hide knee when I step. I love the Lord, but I cannot judge it cause I have my hand in the dice game. I had to carry my baggage in front of the people, you know when your flight change. I keep umbrellas with me and steppers with me, I can't wait on the mic range. Just know that I'm going wherever no traffic is, I cannot wait on the right lane. I had ambition since I worked McDonald's, I'm writing raps all in the kitchen. They wanted their order, I tried to gain order, I'm trying to fly out to the city. Do you know what it's like to have all of your dreams?
Recently, Clayton has been on a tear, scoring 20 points in 6 out of the last 8 games, and most recently dropping 30 on Texas Tech. In this game, Auburn was the team to strike first, mainly through the dominance of Johni Broome. Florida could not stop him, as he had 15 points and 7 rebounds in the first half, as Auburn led by 8. However, Florida's defense would start to intensify, stopping Johni Broome and forcing Auburn to give up 12 turnovers. Due to 3-pointers from Elijah Martin and Walter Clayton Jr., this game went back and forth.
The seal with a rebound. Reload. Baker Mazzola. String music for 3. Clayton. Try to split and score it. Can't leave him on an island out there. Clayton the drive. Baker goes and the foul. Nice seal by Howard. Gets it to go.
This game was back and forth, but Florida would pull away late due to Walter Clayton Jr.'s 34 points, and the Florida Gators advanced to the national championship. The next game was going to be a battle between Houston and Duke. Houston has the best defense in the country, allowing the least amount of points per game, highlighted by the excellent guards Emmanuel Sharp, Milos Uzan, and LJ Cryer. They also have a great big man in Juwan Roberts. Houston dominated the Big 12, going 35-4. They would have a tough task going against Duke, who also went 35-4, and have many great players such as Kamon Malawach, Tyrese Proctor, Sion James, Con Knipple, and the best player in the nation, Cooper Flagg.
The world had me all in this grip, ain't gon' lie, man, it had my heart ice, ice, ice cold. You love where you are till it dip, now you gotta honor him, cause you watch all of your plans go. Ice, 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 ice cold. Ice, 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 ice cold.
Duke was the favorite to win it all, and basically the entire game was dominated by Duke.
With Gungha, back to our Knipple with the finish. Circles, and it's blocked by Flagg. Under 6 minutes to go first half. Flagg, the cutter, big finish and a foul. Proctor, extra. Knipple shooting practice. He's got it up there. James, boom. How about the extra pass by Flagg? For Houston, just 2 for Duke. Flagg, spin, fake, lefty, good, and a foul. Flagg with a head of steam. Look at the strength. Leans in and puts it off the window. Proctor off the double, roll, kick, Flagg, bottom.
Duke led by as much as 14. They led by 11 with 3 minutes left. But if you've kept up with the theme of many of these games, Houston would come storming back.
Give it up. Proctor, drive. Lost it. Florida. And he knocks down a pair. Knipple, drive. Knipple denied by Tugler. Use that now with 35 seconds left. Sharp. The chopper. He's got it. Floated upstairs. That's the line. High by Sharp. Wilson goes back. He fires.
While trying to get a rebound off of a missed free throw by Tyrese Proctor, they called it a loose ball foul on Cooper Flagg. Juwan Roberts would head to the free throw line, and he made them both, taking the lead. Duke would get one more possession, and they gave the ball to the best player in the nation, and he missed it. They foul LJ Cryer, and he makes both of his free throws. With 3 seconds left, Duke needs a miracle. They chuck it up to Con Knipple. He gets into trouble, forcing a pass to Tyrese Proctor, and with less than a second left, Proctor had to take this shot, and it wasn't close. And it was Houston's toughness and resilience that made them advance to the championship, and people are calling this the biggest choke in March Madness history. That made the championship game set Florida versus Houston. And right from the get-go, you could already tell that this was going to be a great game. It was 31-28, Houston winning by the end of the first half. Houston led for the majority of the first half, but Florida was still right there with Houston as the lead never got too big. But that would soon change. At the start of the second half, Houston went on a 12-2 run, and they led by as much as 12. But if you've kept up with the last few games we've mentioned, there was a comeback.
The steal and the slam for Compton.
Could take advantage of it.
Can make it. Aberdeen gets to Martin. Lodged it up. Damma. Nice step back. Cover. Gets it back. Shot clock at 5. Rejected on the perimeter by him. Running the floor and twisting it for the bucket of the foul. One-on-one with Arsenault. Clayton the drive. Clayton goes inside. He's got the hoop of the heart.
For the last 8 minutes, it was neck and neck, but with 46 seconds left, Elijah Martin hit this free throw to give Florida their first lead since there was 15 minutes left of the first half.
Sharp using the screen. Sharp with 10. Sharp.
Lost it.
Out of bounds. Turnover, Houston. They surround Hout. Now to Clayton. Ahead. Over Aberdeen's head. He tracks it down, and then there's contact. Uzan will get called for the foul with 19.7. Aberdeen's got 6 points. He's 2 of 2 at the free throw line. The Cougars completed the furious comeback. Aberdeen makes the second attempt at 65-63.
Houston ball. There's one possession left in the entire game. Shot clock's off. They know this is the national championship. If they take a 3 to win, if they miss it, they lose. If they make it, they win. Everything is on the line. And as Emmanuel Sharp got the ball, his heart was racing. He knew all of this. He knew if he missed it, the game would be over. It wasn't a great shot, but he had to take it. And he hesitated. He didn't shoot the ball, and he had to just drop it on the ground. He couldn't pick it up, or else it would have been a travel. Alex Condon sees the ball, grabs it, takes the rebound, and Florida is the national champion. In my opinion, this was one of the most entertaining March Madnesses that I've been alive to witness. However, there were no Cinderella stories, barely any upsets. It was all 1 seeds. The bracket was so chalked. But it was still great because you have the best teams in the nation playing against each other. You don't have a 1 seed playing against an 11 seed. They're just going to dominate most of the time. You have 1 seeds going against the 1 seeds, best teams going against each other. And will this be the same moving forward? The addition of NIL and the transfer portal, it is so hard for mid-major to high-major programs keeping their players. Bennett Sturts and Donovan Dent, great players from mid-major programs, they already have entered the transfer portal. It is so hard for players to stick around because they know that a powerhouse such as Florida or Duke could just offer them so much money in NIL and they can't pass it up. So in the future, I expect this to happen, honestly. I don't know if it's going to be all 1 seeds every year, but there won't be as many Cinderella stories. You definitely won't get the 2022 March Madness where it was 5 seed, 9 seed, FAU, Miami, UConn, and San Diego State. No, that's not going to happen. You're not going to have as many Cinderella stories. That's just the day and age of college basketball. And as college basketball is transitioning into more of college football with NIL and transfer portal, it's hard for teams to keep their players. And that's why I think that the lack of upsets and Cinderella stories will continue moving forward. But that just means we're having the best teams go up against each other every year. And I like that. And there's no doubt that this year has been total madness. Thanks for watching this video. I know this took a while, so if you like it, please consider subscribing. Every now and then, I'll upload some long-form videos like this. And if you like this, please consider subscribing. Thank you all, and goodbye.